We are live.
This this is KMTV, and we are live, as Weddy Williams said, on the firing squad. My name is Nathan Charles, and Weddy Williams is prettily seated, smiling on this Good Friday. Weddy, good morning.
Oh my God, it's a solemn day for Christians around the world today.
Yes, it's Good Friday, and some of the words of the cross. It
Mm,
is finished.
mhm.
Mother, behold that son. And there are a lot of words of the cross that we will give you some of them. But hey, this is the firing squad, and we are here on this program every Friday. Major stories or issue or talking points we are looking at today. Joseph Human Burger Assets Recovery Team Operation, an act of gangsterism or legality. What are people in Liberia saying, including the opposition, about the assets recovery team? We'll be looking at that and hopefully talking to Julius Kanumba, who will be joining us from Monrovia about the assets recovery team, and as well playing you some clips from the opposition arm. Nathaniel McGee, Senator of McGee County, is speaking out, including CPC new chairman Janga Cole. What are they saying about this assets recovery? Civil Service Director General Josiah Joker on blocking salaries of those put on government payroll during the transitional period in December of 2023 during the exit of former Liberian President George Weah. What's going on? What is the status of government employees on the payroll? Sarah died at a gold pit in Riverside County. What a great loss for Liberians and families in Riverside County. What can be done differently to halt illicit mining activities in Liberia and all across Liberia? The law is the law. Musa Biliti's son arrested for drugs and firearm. We'll be hearing from the family of Musa Hassan Biliti, a representative from Nima County, and we're looking at other issues in Liberia. Whether William is Good Friday, welcome to the Diaspora Talk. I mean,
Thank
Paris squad.
you. Always mix up, but
Okay,
thank you. It's a holy weekend.
yes, it's for the weekend, and we hope I hope you're not beating Julius today.
It's a Liberian tradition or an African tradition.
Yes, as you know, Luke 28:43. Today I will be in paradise, some assurance of the word of the cross. Woman, this your son. Son, this is your mother. John 19:26 to 27. The other word of suffering at thirst in John 19:28. Also, words of accomplishment, it is finished. That is can be found in John 19:30. So these are some word of the cross. You need to go to Bible school and learn some of these historic word of the
And
cross.
we need to be nicer in Liberia to our neighbors. Honest.
So when you say that word,
Equal D in our country.
so when you say that word, you remind me of Luke 23, 34. It says, Father, forgive them, for they know
They know
not
that
what
what
they
to do in our country. Liberia is a special place. You have to start being nice to your neighbors this weekend if you can afford, feed the hungry, you know. Just do things, you ask yourself, what would Jesus do this weekend? So you try to help your community, help, the people around you, try to change those ways, that's not, taking Liberia anywhere. Because
anyway.
so and it's also the holy month of Ramadan.
Yes, I was jumping into that.
It's
I
also
will.
the holy month of Ramadan. So we are in a huge religious season around the world, even here in America.
Yes, in the month of Ramadan is in it's the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, observed by Muslim worldwide as a month of fasting, praying, reflection, and commitment to their faith. And during that time, the Muslims, and set aside everything. They pray to God that God should give them direction for the holy month of Ramadan and during the entire year. I know our Muslim brothers and sisters, we say, keep praying. I mean, religion, Islamic is not something easy. You have to be obedient. You have to be committed to that and to that prayers and everything, because Allah will definitely bless you. And it takes courage to go through the time of fasting and excluding yourself from the world and just going into the bosom of Abraham, time there to worship him. Now let's move over to this first development. Access recovery team. We've seen them in the street since they were constituted by President Joseph Yuma Boyka, and they have continued to hit the streets of Monrovia. We saw them impounding some government vehicles, including former police boss, uh, who vehicle was impounded. There was a lot of stories about his car, what happened to his vehicle, how he acquired it. We saw a couple of fleets of Texas, we can say, being impounded. There are reports that these fleets were owned by former special assistant Fina Bono. We've seen all the things going around. These are some of the fleets that was impounded by the access recovery team, and we've split.
How is the asset recovery team taking taxis?
They are claiming that they want to know the owner of some of these vehicles. Never had proper documentation.
Okay, now this is bad. Now, if you have a government, right? You have the General Services Agency. That's the agency in charge of all government probably vehicles, right?
Yeah,
So you should have an inventory of all government vehicle assets. So you should have an inventory. So who you issue those vehicles to, the vehicles make and model, all of that they should have. Now, before you go out and start taking cars from people, you should know what cars you're taking. This is not guesswork, because if you begin to do guesswork, then you start to muddy the waters. Because if the GSA is not able to produce its own inventory to recover its properties, then there is a problem with that. Then, because you cannot lay a claim on something that is not yours. So, what is the plan here for this asset recovery team? Have they sat down with the head of the GSA or maybe the operations people there at the GSA and said, look, let's see how many government vehicles were issued in the last six years? How many of these vehicles were bought in the last 6 years? And to whom these vehicles were issued, in the vehicles make and model and everything. Then you go by the list. Then you call these people in and say, look, we have the inventory here, but we are missing these vehicles. You need to turn these vehicles in. It's not, you don't do like a street gangster, you know. You don't go just get in the street and start taking every car. Oh, this person worked in the government before and they're riding a car, so let's go get it. But you need to have a plan. What is the plan? More than a month ago, the president appointed this team, right?
yes.
And what I have not heard a single plan from this asset recovery team. One of their members, Martin Colley, he does everything else but work on the job that's been given him. They are not even doing anything to inform the public. This is not it. The thing is not transparent. So what assets are they recovering? Are they just going based on guesswork, or are they following whatever inventory the government has?
Like there is no proper documentation, and even when the police former police boss vehicle was impounded, he provided some documents. We will saw from the access recovery team that they will investigate because they
Oh,
believe that
so you go, you get the car, and then before you say, "Oh, we will investigate," you don't have a list. You don't have a list of your properties because take the banks for example. If you take a loan, if you take a loan from the bank to buy a vehicle, that vehicle is tagged on to the bank. Whenever you default on your payment, the bank is able to go and bring in that vehicle. And every vehicle has a number that
thing
you
number.
can track.
Yeah,
And government has to have its own inventory. The government of Liberia has to even have like a public inventory where you can go. We have a lot of databases that we
oh
can.
yeah.
The government needs a public database where you can go in, search up stuff, even with the paperwork trail. If you have no paperwork to recover assets, I'm sorry, that's not your asset.
Yeah, I
Just,
mean,
yeah, just because someone slap a like Republic of Liberia government plate on a vehicle doesn't make that vehicle the government of Liberia if the government has no documentation for it.
I mean, it's so simple. I don't know what's going on in Liberia. That's why somebody said we need to automate the system. Because I said, yeah, when you give me that VIN number,
Yeah.
just the VIN number, I will tell you who all the owner, where it came from,
Exactly where, yeah,
Iowa to this person. I would tell you the trace.
that's
So
a vehicle lifeline.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we gotta take this guy to know who owned it, who brought it into the country. Like just by the VIN number, you should know exactly who brought them into the country. Maybe they're still using paper trails. They gotta
Yeah,
go over folders.
they're opening a Pandora's box for litigation because these people will say this is not your property if you don't have proper documentation to prove that this is yours, because the onus is on you to prove that these vehicles are yours. And without the documentation, you cannot prove that the vehicles are yours.
Yeah,
Same with the properties. That's why I keep on saying when people declare their asset, you see they bring this sheet of paper, they use pen and they write whatever asset they have on it. It shouldn't be that way. They should be requesting bank statements along with these assets. They should be requesting a bank statement because you follow the money with the bank statements. Maybe request 6 months worth of bank statements and say, let's look at where you got this, how much is coming into you, where's your money coming from. That's how the IRS go when they ask for those stuff. That's how they get people. So if you're involved in money laundering and they check your bank statements, they know. And then they come after you and say, look, something is not adding up from what you're showing us. It is not that difficult. We need to invest in our people. You know, the world is moving away from this paper thing. The world has digitized 20 years ago. Now we're talking about artificial intelligence.
AI.
Where is Liberia in this new digital world? You take a piece of paper, run around someone, and say, "Oh, I'm recovering asset." What asset are you recovering if you cannot prove that you have these inventory to get these vehicles back? Or maybe to get whatever house. Maybe the person was just in office for 3 months and they built a new house, they built a mansion. Then we say, okay, look, you work for the government. We don't pay you this much for you to afford this. So we want to know where the money is coming from, you know?
And so many people are calling this as a witch hunt because they just few former government officials like Fina Bono. We've seen that because it said that Texas fleet of vehicle belong to her. We've seen they have
Well, I
already
get it.
taken,
I
yeah, they
get
are
it.
already taking them to court. The head of assets recovery team and the penalty and the respondent. We've seen that a document is up there. Like you said, a lot of civil action will be taken against them because if you impound somebody a vehicle that's running transportation, acquiring money every day without any concrete evidence. These are things that would not be held right. But let's listen to what opposition uh, said on this issue from the CDC. What are they saying? The Nathaniel Mangel, he spoke at the gathering at CDC headquarters.
And to the Minister of Justice, that Liberia is based on the principle of laws and not of men. That it is illegal for anybody, for any institution, to seize any private person property without a court order. And will make it formal to the Speaker, to the Senate, so that President Bwaka will take due notice. Now, any institution established by Bwaka, whether by law, whether by unconstitutional means, they have no authority to seize any private person property. And we want the international community to also know this. As Christians, we are peaceful people. But Bwaka should not cause tension and conflict in this country. We'll continue to be peaceful, but we'll resist any attempt to violate the law through the legal means. So this is a caveat.
Is Joseph Boca out for conflict? Is he about to stir up the peace, the fragile peace in Liberia? You listen to Nathaniel McGee, the senator of McGee County, head chair of the CDC legislative caucus, and also a strong stalwart of the CDC. He has the voice of his people speaking there. Weddy, what do you make of him?
Well, I don't know why McGill should still be in the CDC after all that went down with the American government and him being sanctioned. He's not the right person to speak, to speak on these issues. But then let's focus on, is this thing done legally? Because you have like a whole list of legal, actions. Now, for example, you see Finda Bondo, she has these, are those her fleet of cars? Now you this is something for maybe the auditing commission, and say, look, let's look into this lady. She was former,
Presidential aide.
yes. Okay, how much was she getting paid to afford these vehicles? To afford all this that she has? How many years did she work? What was her salary? But if
Did
this
she
is
fly
not
alone?
okay, okay, I know in Liberia the it favors whoever is in power. The banks might not even do due diligence in cases like these. But then you find yourself in a territory where you are not focused on asset recovery because you have no proof that these assets are yours, but you're just randomly selecting, oh yeah, this person was in the government before. Oh, I see they have 3 cars parked in their compound. Okay, now I think that's government vehicle. We need to go and get it. Without the proper paperwork, you cannot enforce anything, even in the court of law. You have to prove that these are your properties. Now, the only way you can go around seizing asset, if the court says, okay, this person stole money from the government, it is proven, and they're prosecuted and it's proven, yeah, these assets can be seized. But anything outside of that, I think we're playing with whatever that is, with trouble.
They're looking for evidence quick, want to grab it before they even go into investigation. But you embarrass other people. For example, the former police
So
boss, he was having his family in his car going somewhere, and they impounded the vehicle and like, all of y'all get down. We put you in different car to go. We take the car to GSA. That was embarrassing
yeah,
right
and you have
there.
these bunch of immature people on committees. That's what you get. You need experts. You need people who understand what they're doing. If you're recovering assets, you have to inform these people, write them a letter and say, look, these are government properties and you haven't returned it to the GSA since, you left the government. We need our property back. And if they don't do it, you go to court. And then the court orders for those properties to be seized.
Yeah, and with the story, Patrick Sudu, we heard that he bought that car. He was using former Gregory Coleman had that car. There was an accident since 2016 or 17. He took the car from GSA because he was using it, and when he was on a assignment, there the car had an accident. So he took the car. Okay, I think I love this car. I will buy it from GSA. You know how they do in the government cycle, pay some more money and got the car. Now refurbish the car according to the story we're gathering. Government now comes back. This new government say, "Oh no, we want to make sure as to whether you bought the car for its market value,
Okay,
not its blue book value."
okay. For blue book value, you cannot sell the car for blue book, whatever blue
That
book
was an accident.
that is based on whatever has happened to the car over the years. Now,
It's a savage car like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Now, if the government is selling vehicles, is it public? Is it open to the public? Do they make announcements and say these government assets are being sold?
You know, you see it, you
Or
like it, you put in your
they
thing.
just sell it within their circles? Oh, yeah. But first of all, a government official should not be buying government vehicles.
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. If you're a public official, you should not be buying government vehicles while you're in office. There are so many ways to get a car in Liberia. But the issue here is the asset recovery team. I think they don't know what they're doing. I think they're just, they just want to be out there, make the noise. But at the end of the day, legally, you have to show proof that these things belong to you. It's a long process. It's not, the president appoints the team. You call a meeting of all your members and say, look, this is what we do. You draw up your plan. You write these people or you email them. And then you say, we give you a deadline to bring in our properties, or else we're going to court. And when we go to court, the court orders that you bring these properties back. We're coming with law enforcement to your house to get it.
But that's what Nathaniel McGee said. Can a private person or citizen or government just go without a court order into your and take possession of your property like that without, like you said, being more civilized, like what they did to the former IG who have served the country for many years. And that could, if he was ready to come, because I know some other people, they were going to be cussing and doing all kinds of things. So that's some of the things happening in Liberia. Hopefully, very soon we'll be joined by Julius
And
coming back.
I see a lot of anger in this government. They're not happy. How can you win an election, but you're not happy that you won? And you see all these little mistakes that they're making. And these are going to have impact on the peace and security, because when by the down the road within the next 6 months, when we look at how this government is operating, is it going after political enemies? And you find you don't want a record like this. So you have to do things the proper way. You have to use your courts. I don't say use your courts, because normally what Liberia does, they just use the court to go after, people that are against the government. Maybe they'll shut down your business, or you know put you
Strangulate
in
you.
jail because you own a radio station and you talk so much. They do that quickly. But then to do the right thing, they're unable to use the legal system to do the right thing. So we need to start, using our legal system. We need to start getting better at data collection. Hire the right people. Do not hire people because they supported you in an election. Because that's what we see. The president can make more than 700 appointments. Can the president appoint 700 people by himself? No, he cannot. Or no, she cannot. First of all, you can't even remember the names of all these people that you are appointing. Yeah, so there has to be a system. There has to be a system in Liberia, and we have to respect the law also as citizens. If you are a public official and you work in the previous government and you use government property, don't wait for them to come after you. When your tenure is over, turn those properties over.
And I laugh at the information minister Jeremy Pierre. He sounded so comical when he said, "And you did it to me too," because he was one of those who they took his car for him from him forcefully in during the regime of George Weah. I'm like, so you
It's all payback,
it's a feedback. I'm like, are you? These are the guys who are in the ears of the president, and they say, "Oh, they did it to me, so we do it. We're doing it then too." I'm like,
Yeah, and these people
yeah.
they appointed. There's a one question I have for them. Normally, when you go and get a job, they ask you for your previous employment. Where did you work in the last 6 months? Okay, we're giving you a job. What was your latest job that you held? Some of these people for 6 years they didn't work. So they do not understand what the workforce looks like.
Okay, let's bring Julius Kanuba. He's from Liberia. Julius, welcome to the firing squad on KMTV. Looking at assets recovery, what's your own reaction to the government assets recovery strategy? Your mic is muted, Julius. Julius Kanuba, your mic is muted. He's from Liberia, joining us on the firing squad, but his mic is muted. We hope to hear.
Text him and let
Yeah,
him know that his mic is muted. Sometimes they can't see it.
yes. So we hope to get Julius. He needs to unmute his mic. I'm trying, but I cannot from my end. We can hear you, Julius. But we're looking at the assets recovery team. Hope.
Is it okay?
Yes, Julius Kanuba, welcome to the firing squad. What do you make of the assets recovery team?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity of forming part of your conversation along with Miss Wade Williams. You know why, Wade? Greetings to all of you. But first, the constitution of the assets recovery team by President Joseph Walker is a laudable step. And I should say, there's nothing new in terms of the constitution of the team, in terms of the establishment of the team through Executive Order 126. If you can recall, the Georgia administration had a similar institution set up that was headed by the loyal Arthur Dempsey. And so, why it is commendable, there is nothing new. The only point is how can the committee now begin its work in line with the relevant laws of our country, in line with set procedures and practices to ensure that this is not seen as a wish point against any individual within and outside that area. Because from what we've been observing, especially in the last couple of days or hours, I mean, the seizure of the properties belonging to former officials of government, for example, vehicles, is something contestable. And it was not done in line with the Constitution of Liberia, because if you read Article 21 and Article 20 of the Constitution, it calls for due process before a property or before there is a seizure of anyone's property in Liberia. So while the president's executive order on assets recovery is necessary, it's important, it must be done in keeping with law. If not, it will be considered as a mere charade or yet another pronouncement by the president, which cannot be implemented. And the strange thing is, I think you are already aware, perhaps what they might have elaborated on it. There is a conference that has been called by the Justice in Chambers, who has overturned some of the actions of this access recovery team. And this is the beginning of failure, especially when presidential powers that is dedicated to a group of people is being challenged through the courts. And what is also strange is that we've now heard that members of the access recovery team have held a meeting to set up a framework as to how they are going to recover or retrieve stolen assets, as to how they are going to work. Because this should be a very, very serious group of people that should be working on access recovery. But you can't do something arbitrary, right? To do so, it will be a disrespect to the executive order. It will also be a disrespect and disservice to the people of Liberia that have got some faith in the Joseph Walker administration to righting some of the wrongs of the past. We've now heard from the chair of this particular group, the Flag Martin, to say that this is how we are going to proceed. We don't even know the strategy of the team that was constituted. We are aware some team members are outside Liberia. Then how come we see some of the team members are in the streets attempting to retrieve what they call government assets? I mean, this is not how to proceed. We need a meticulous approach in terms of conducting the affairs of this particular team. If not, it will be a failure or death upon arrival. And this could be used by the opposition that was just removed from power to say that they are being witch hunted. In fact, as you listen to the Secretary General of the CDC, Common City Mayor Monrovia Koji, he has publicly stated that the CDC or former officials should and must resist the access recovery team. And if the team is not proceeding on the right footing, it has consequences as to how they will be able to succeed. And it is critical for the executive to take control, to have a set procedure in place, because later on I should mention that this is a presidential committee that was set up. It's not a legislative committee that was set up. And this has some level of trust issue now between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Because they're operating on an executive order, but executive order is challengeable. It's not something that is cast in stone compared to a legislative order or legislative mandate that will gain some level of acceptability by the elected representatives of our country. So President Walker must be able to proceed in keeping with law and must be able to proceed in keeping with the expectations of the people of Nigeria. If not, I think, it will be business as usual rather than no business as usual.
Whether you listen to Julius Canova there saying that people from the access recovery team must be serious group of people.
Yeah, because the thing is, you're going to get resistance. You're going after properties here. And if you don't have the court's backing, and first of all, if you had documentation to prove that these properties are yours, but it looks like they do not have documentation to prove that these are their properties. So this is when you, to give it more weight and more force, you use the courts. You say, look, these, and then in using the court, you also have to prove that these are yours, that these properties are yours.
Exactly.
So government in and government out have always violated the public trust. Whenever there's a transition, people they grab down to pencils from their offices.
Golly loot.
Yes. They take that. They take all the chairs. They take everything. You only supposed to leave with your. You know how we leave offices here. Whenever
Yeah.
we leave a job, we just have this box. Put put all
Personal
your
things
personal
in.
belongings. That's all. If you have a company computer, you return it. If you have a company owned vehicle, you return it. Because if you don't, they're not showing up to your house in the morning with a bunch of gangsters to take that stuff from you. They're going to the courts.
Yeah. So Julius, you been in Monrovia, you currently in Monrovia. What is the situation there this morning? Are they still carrying out this act or they have halt their process? Again, Julius, Mark is muted, but Julius Canova is joining us from Monrovia, Liberia. We hope to get him back. Looking at the assets recovery team, you heard from him. Article 20 of our Liberian Constitution, he said that people who are on the assets recovery team must be serious-minded people.
They
Look
must.
at what they are, how they are conducting the thing. Most Liberians, including the CDC
There are a bunch of
opposition.
inexperienced people on that asset recovery team. I've from the onset, I said, is this actually a team that's going to be able to get people to return government vehicles? Do they know how to go after these people to return government assets?
Yeah, they know how to. That's how they're doing.
Yeah, but now you're going in the street and just, okay, this person worked in government before. Okay, so this car that they're riding belongs to the government.
So
No,
I wonder how would they do with the
that's
banks
not how it works.
if your money is in the bank and other thing? How would they do it? When you go to Access Bank or LBDI, they will stand right there. So you can't out with your money. Give it to me like that's some of the money.
And it's like the asset recovery team is only going after vehicles. What about monies?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's so much to do, so much to learn. We keep doing stuff the wrong way every time. Government after government, we keep doing stuff the wrong way. Remember when we had whatever container full of money that was missing? Did we ever find that?
No.
So a lot of things happen backwards in Liberia, and we do not use our courts, in the proper way. We only use our courts probably to go after our political enemies. Quick,
Let's
we know how to do that.
let's listen to Janga Cole, newly Secretary General of the CDC, looking at some of the lapses under the Joseph Dimon Boyka leadership.
Looking at the the fact that we see retrogression is very, 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 very embarrassing for the country. Looking at the level, it's a fact that the country is retrogressing when it comes to the issue of governance because actors in the government are violating the law flagrantly, openly. So, Chairman, before we go to the lines, from what we've heard, they said President Walker served in government for today about Joe Walker.
We having some technical issue there, but you listen to CDC Secretary General saying, Julia saying that the country is retrogressing instead of progressing. Janga Koda, he spoke on the same assets recovery team, and you said Jefferson Kochi is calling on his people not to adhere to the assets recovery team. Is this a room for conflict to divide our people or to break the already fragile peace in Liberia? You've been in Liberia. What is I was asking before you left? What is the process like right now in Liberia? What is happening? I
And
think
if the question is directed at me, can you just reframe it?
I'm asking what is going on right now in Liberia. Are they still carrying on the exercise? And you listen to Janga Cole, he said the country is retrogressing under the Joseph Boga leadership.
Well, the country is not retrogressing. I mean, those are political thoughts. President Walker has been in power less than 100 days. So it's not possible for Liberia as a country to retrogress in 100 days while there is stability, peace, and ongoing efforts to have the country develop. But regarding the work of the assets recovery team, I mean, nothing is happening as we speak because everyone will now be paying attention to the Justice Chambers of the Supreme Court, the conference that was called by the Justice Chambers to see how this will be proceeding. But crucially, the executive order that the president issued, one through says, it calls for the putting in place of the necessary legal framework for the recovery of assets wrongfully acquired by current and former government officials. But we've not been able to see whether this particular necessary legal framework has been put in place. And it's a troublesome that some members of the committee have taken up the responsibility of getting into the streets, like they did with the common police inspector general and the seizure of the.
Okay, Julius Canova there. I know the line is terrible. Weather Williams. We have to remove Julius Canova. The line is terrible. Thanks, Julius, for your input. We understand that internet, our 4G, we have in Liberia.
Internet problem always.
Now let's move over to this next topic here. Josiah Joker has been talking about the CSA that the government payroll is flooded,
Bloated, yeah, he said.
and that they are taking steps to help save government millions of dollars. He also said on consultancy, where the previous government spent billions of dollars and they have reduced that to 2 million. Listen to
What
Josiah
do you mean they spend billions of dollars?
millions of dollars. I think
Yeah,
4 million, $6 million.
that's nothing.
To provide context, the previous administration's expenditure on consultancy services only for the last fiscal year amounted to a staggering $6.1 million. United States dollars. In stark contrast, the CSA has proposed a consultancy budget allocation of 2 million United States dollars for the upcoming fiscal period, reflecting an impressive savings of $4.1 million. This fiscal prudence, coupled with implementing the brand new consultancy policy guidelines, promises to yield substantial dividends for the government. With this austerity measure, the government can now redirect the 4.1 million savings to other basic services, including education, agriculture, healthcare, and sanitation, consistent with the arrest agenda. Today, with immediate effect, the Civil Service Agency has blocked the salaries and subsequently removed from the payroll all individuals employed as of December 18, 2023, in violation of former President George Manuel Weah's directive to suspend all new employment and service contracts across government institutions. Additionally, the CSA will work with all spending entities concerned to reverse all promotions and salary increments during the period of the presidential directive.
Josiah Joker there, or Julius Canova, saying government spent 6.1 million on consultancy. The CDC government now they have reduced that to 1.2 million, and they have recalled or removed all those who were placed on government payroll or given position or promotion as of December 2023. What do you make of this move? Is this a red step to kick out ghost names or have a vibrant civil society, civil service for government?
Can you hear us?
Well, it's a it's a Yeah, the network seems to be fluctuating, so I hope I'm
You,
not
I
speaking
think
over your
that's
voice.
your point.
But I think the pronouncement by the new head of the Civil Service Agency is commendable. I think that was a meticulous process that was done. And what was expected of the Walker administration, like we've been suggesting, is that during the transition period, there were lots of investigations that were undertaken to know the assets, the personnel, the human resources that were within the government bureaucracy, for all of us to have a stock on all of this information. And the information were collected, but I'm not sure that the government of President Walker is utilizing the information that was collected. Because, for example, there was a group called the Accountability, Governance, and Transparency Cluster. They look at transparency and governance institutions within the country, knowing their financial, economic, and social basis in terms of their standings. And you could be able to know and the government inventory, government assets from all of these agencies. So what was done by the civil service agencies here is that they've been able now to know the consultants within the government bureaucracy, and then when and how some of these consultants were employed, and what steps can be taken by the new government, which is of course critical, because just there is a system that developed or that has been developing since the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, wherein you have somebody who is occupying a position and a consultant is hired or brought in to complement that person's particular effort. I think for me, it's a waste of resources. In as much as yes, consultants are good to help build the infrastructure of government in terms of the human resource, but you can't permanently be having people as consultants while the employees who are employed to do the job, they are not doing the job, but rather the consultants are doing the job. And this applies to almost all sectors of the government. Even for us who are somehow involved in consultancy, it's a short-term stuff. But what we witnessed under the Joshua administration, even the Sirleaf administration, people were brought in for long-term employment under the nomenclature of a consultant, and that was particularly wrong. So I hope the civil service agency can be able to have the relevant personnel to undertake a specific job. You can, for example, employ Nathan Charles as a specialist on government insurance, and then you bring another consultant to be another specialist on the specialists. I mean, it's a complete waste of public resources, and that we witness under the Georgia administration. I was speaking to some of our colleagues who have been working at the National Port Authority, wherein you have people who are placed on the payroll on the basis of their political partisanship. And they say, in fact, the Walker administration, in terms of the new administration that has gone to the port, they are almost like doing the same thing, right? They are removing the other people who were brought through the back doors and bringing their own people. Of course, this is an accusation, but when it comes in the public glare, it becomes something that all of us will have to reflect upon. So, yeah, Joker is right. I hope he got the statistics right. And that those affected, if you know you are wrongfully removed from your consultancy, you can also challenge the process. And what was also shocking is that some of the consultants were not giving any term of reference as to what they are expected to do, what the indicators are in terms of what they will achieve and what will be the outcome in terms of the impact. And you just have people collecting 2, 3,000, 4,000 United States dollars, and this is not a small amount of money for a post-conflict country to be paying people and doing consultancy, and you cannot see the impact of the consultants. Well, I'm not too, going to be harsh on consultants for their competencies, but sometimes the government are abusing this issue of consultancy, where you bring in consultants because of their specialized knowledge in a specific area, but you cannot have the specialized knowledge. People who you've employed, and then you bring consultants to police the very specialized knowledge. It was not a good practice, and to accommodate people in government on the basis putting them on payroll or on sort of a consultancy contract was not good. It does not speak well, because Liberia has resources, but the resources, as economists will normally say, are limited. And
Yes.
look at the rate of unemployment in Liberia. Look at the poverty rate, right? So, at what level you want for your government to be dominated by consultants?
All right, Julius Canova. Julius Canova is speaking to us from Monrovia. Julius, thanks for the time. But finally, before you leave, I know you're very busy. Our own legend, Aaron Flomo. What can you say about his death and so far? from the PUL, from the journalist perspective, on a 1 minute. Julius Canuba, his mic is muted. We're looking at Henry Flomo for you to reflect on him a bit on a 1 minute, but his mic got muted. Henry Flomo, as you see there, worked at the National Elections Commission, worked at ELBC for years, and he has been helpful in the media landscape. His wakekeeping will be held 30 March, funeral service at 10 a.m. as well. So may his soul and the soul of all departed rest in peace. Julius Kanuba there. That's from the line from Monrovia. Hopefully, we talk to other people on the issue. But let's go over to Yeke Kolba. Julius was talking about bringing on their own people. This is what Yeke Kolba had to say.
President Moyo now appointed his wife to help you out. Say Yeke, you lie. Tell me, say Jeremiah now appointed his sister, his wife, sister to come out ministry. Tell me, say you lie. Then I will close my mouth. No, tell the brain person that. No, tell the brain person. You the church, you tell the brain person that. Oh, they will always tell me, say, you know, the thing are true, but it's too soon. Let somebody bring one document and they must say something that will turn in 2 years.
So I can say that's a fact.
Oh, that they employ the family code, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
So
it is Prince Mo's wife.
So let somebody tell me, say, the coupon you say you get a fake coupon. The only time you can tell me a fake coupon when the police tell me, say, you can let you face the World Trade Center. What? I dare the police to judge the case, man. Joseph Walker, and you say you now roll, let the police judge the case.
Okay. His name is represented. Yeke Kolba will pick up calls.
So Yeke Kolba there speaking on the Prime Morning Draft, saying that Joseph Yimon Boga is employing his people, bringing on board relatives. We've been joined by James Akwe. The issue of competency, nepotism is creeping in the Joseph Yimon Boga leadership. James Akwe is a supporter of the Joseph Yimon leadership. James, what do you make of what Yeke Kolba had to say about nepotism and bringing on board family members in the government? James Akwe.
How are you, Nito?
Go ahead. What do you make of Yeke Koluba's comment of nepotism and bringing on board family members?
Oh, okay. The first thing, anyway, let's try to see how well that can be proven. Yeah, whether the claim or the allegations, definitely he trying to level the group and the present administration, because we know Yeke Koluba has been up in, especially against the current administration. And for what reason, I technically do not know. But let's begin to find out. That's one. Whether they are really true. 1, 2 is that, and the new Liberia we envision, the new Liberia we want to build. We need to be clear to individuals we call our friends. Yeah. So if something was wrong yesterday, talking about nepotism, definitely it will not be right today. So, and it's important that we would do some investigation as media, individuals and practitioners to come up with the proof, then we can be able to speak on it. And also, I want to speak on the issue of the asset recovery. I listened to my colleague Wendy Williams, and but now we should not be speaking about vehicle detailing. Those vehicles should be turning ever since. Let's face it, Nathan. I agree with Wendy and others. When it comes to inviting, the court, the court system and the rest of it. But now we should not be talking. Those vehicles should be turning ever since. Let's face the fact. And sometimes when you say this thing, people tend to say, "Oh yeah, you're saying this thing." I'm getting feedback.
Are those vehicles government asset? The government cannot those vehicles are theirs. That's where the problem is. That's what the problem is, because government should have an inventory of its own properties. You cannot do this based on guesswork.
And the fleet of Finabono that belongs to Finabono is not government property.
So you have to have your inventory and say, these are mine stuff. I need to get
I'm
it.
getting negative feedback, Nato. I don't know.
Just go ahead.
We can hear you good though.
Hello.
Go ahead,
can hear
James.
Okay, so yeah. So I mean, earlier as I said, but now we should not be speaking of vehicles be turned over. Those vehicles should be turned over ever since. Yeah, let's face the fact. And some of the things we are even hearing is that, I mean, individuals.
I mean, in the US, your internet is breaking like that. What's going on?
Internet you got down there. You got and cricket. My man, you need to join Verizon, okay? Verizon.
James Aku, they're speaking to us from Iowa, a strong member of the Joseph Human Boy guy.
I think he probably might be like on the lower level. Sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. So, Weather Williams, we wrapping things. Let's go into this issue. Josiah Joker, he spoke 6.1 million on consultancy, 2 million now. They have cut down to that, and putting out blocking the payrolls or the salary of all those who are placed on payroll. You listen to him. What's your view?
Well, I think Jokai is he's what is it called? He's a stunt supporter of Joseph Blackeye. He is a strong opposition of anything that relates to the CDC. So he needs to be careful what he's doing there at the CSA, because there will not be a difference between a witch hunt or him properly trying to do his job. So these people were hired by the government, were their terms, no matter when they were hired. It's not their fault that the government hired them. You might see legal actions coming against the CSA for illegally terminating people. So he has to be careful how he does this. It might be considered by the other side as him trying to clear out the CSA so he can bring the Unity Party people on and flood the CSA with only Unity Party people. So with him saying, okay, we saved the government money and we did this and we did that, once it begins to look, that he's getting rid of people who he thinks are sympathizers of the opposition, then it becomes a problem. Because we've seen, even with President Joseph Boakai's appointments, he's appointed people from the same household. He's appointed brothers and sisters in government. You're supposed to make the government more inclusive. If you are allotting 2 slots to the same household, and some of the counties do not even have as much representation as they should have, then I think that is a problem. So there is a thin line of you trying to save government money or you trying to be a political zealot who is getting rid of people from the opposition. So that line has to be tread very carefully. I know these people are consultants. Some of them were hired last minute, but what does the term say? They didn't just get to the CSA by themselves. Somebody hired them. So these people might have a reason to go to court, and it could be a long, drawn-out process.
But were they hired legally? Because President George, we are
so only the court can say if they were hired legally.
I mean, it's logic because Judge we are issue a mandate putting a freeze on the appointment or employment of everyone from Jan. I
So
think
you
this
put
like 18.
you put a freeze on employment, but you employ people.
Yes,
You
that's why.
employ people. You employ these people. You put a freeze on your employment, but you still employ people. Is it their fault that you employ them?
That's another argument.
Is it their fault that you gave them a job? But the thing is, it's Liberia. Nothing is done properly in Liberia.
Yeah, and we also need to know what is the employment rate state in Liberia. For example, I know in Minnesota, right? Minnesota is a will state. You can be hired and fired anytime for
Yeah,
any
yes,
reason.
I
And
will
other
employ,
states are not.
but
Some other
not
states
with
are not.
not with the federal government though.
Yeah.
Not with the
With the
federal
government.
government. If it's with the federal government, then it's a different process. You cannot just get cleansed out of the federal payroll or out of the public, the civil service payroll because Joe Jokai does not like you. Or because you wore maybe you saw them wearing CDC t-shirts and campaigning for CDC and say, okay, you're the one we're campaigning during this election, we'll get rid of all of you. We know how Liberia works. So we have to be careful this is not the case.
James Akwe.
Yeah. So talking about increasing, civil servants, and well, for me, I'll be straight up on this one, and I would definitely want to say that this is just part of the evils of the ugliness of the CDC. They knew definitely they were leaving power, so they decided to block the payroll with all of these individuals to just cause some embarrassment to the incoming administration. That's what the guys did. Because in so short a time, if you begin to employ thousands of people, then I don't know. Because if you tend to get it out now, you say, oh, but then you see, we employ you, and the very people who come in and you see they're getting you out. And that's the tactics. Again, I agree with you when you say going through the court system, but again, this is Liberia, man. It's not going to be too difficult to say how, to determine maybe how somebody came a particular system illegally. Yeah, let's agree that government is the biggest employer, but let it be done
Yeah, but
legally.
then we need to find what is illegal.
Yeah, let it be done legally. It should not be done to embarrass the incoming administration, and that's what the CDC definitely
Yeah,
did.
and
That's what it did to
and
increase
also
across the place. Just to cause that particular problem. That's what it did, and I think that is wrong.
so and also if you are getting rid of people, first of all, your government payroll, they hardly pay people. They hardly come up with money to pay their civil servants. That's a big issue. Okay, you are getting rid of people from your payroll. People that you owe money to for months. Because the WIA administration, they weren't paying civil servants when
Regularly, yeah.
they pay civil servants.
Yeah.
So you're terminating them. Are you gonna pay them all their money that you owe them?
Those are just some of the issues to really look at, and
Are you giving them severance, or you just saying, okay, we're getting rid of you because we hired you last minute, or whoever was the civil service person hired you last minute? What are you doing? Are you just calling them up and saying, look, you can't come to work tomorrow?
So
Or giving them a package and say, this is what we're giving you based on the time that you've worked here.
Let's face the fact. If you, there are some of those areas, that the people, the people just place on salaries, and in no time.
I get it. If it's like the Tubman era where you had people just, how they call it, the PRO system. where you can just bring someone and place them on government payroll and just pay them something, but they are not actually government employees. But you're just paying them to just run their mouth, to the president on whatever is going on in the opposition. That is different. But if you legally hire someone as a civil servant,
Yep.
and they sign paperwork, okay, what kind of government is the government of Liberia? How can you get hired and fired by the government of Liberia? How can you get terminated? Nathan, your mic is muted.
The will and pleasure of the minister.
Or the will and pleasure of the president, who appoints over 700 people that he doesn't know or she doesn't know.
But
let's listen to President Joseph Boakai.
The president does not have to employ you knowing you. Employment, I want to believe it comes on the basis of qualification.
No, when I say know you,
connection.
He needs to know where you worked before. Some of these people have like Jeremy Pia. Can Pia tell us where he worked in the last 6 years? Can he tell us that?
Yeah, I think Pia has a wealth of experience.
No, we need to know where he worked before he went to Liberia to take government job.
The reload show.
And
these questions?
I definitely, I think he's being employed on the basis of his qualification. And
let's go over to President Joseph Boakai. He spoke.
Look at Liberia today.
Corruption.
Where are the clinics? Where are the schools? Where are the streets? Where are the roads? Not because we couldn't build them, but the monies have been diverted to individuals. And what are these individuals? They go outside the country, they buy houses, but the country that they make the money from, they are afraid to use the money there. So they go out, they forget that there are hundreds of children here that are not going to school. There are no medical. I have a very close friend now who is sick in Foya. He could have been brought here by helicopter, but where are they? Corruption is a poison. Whatever it touches, it destroys. It deprives people from having good roads. It deprives others from having good medical facilities. You're always wishing to go elsewhere when you can have it right here.
Listen to Joseph Boakai, president. What can be done differently?
Now Joe Boakai, we remember he was VP for 12 years. So part of that he's talking about, he's part of the problem. Because he served in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration for 12 years.
Unbroken.
And they had $16 billion in foreign direct investment. And a lot went wrong in Liberia during that administration. And so much mess was created in that country that could have been done right, but wasn't done. So when you say, okay, my friend in Foya is sick, he can't come to Monrovia because there is no helicopter or there are no roads. You hailed from Foya, and 12 years you had a government. What did you do?
He squandered the opportunity.
Yeah, BRE. Remember BRE with the Rice Project? These people were stationed in Foya. What happened to that? It was
the Macintosh saga.
It was a big scandal. We need to remember history. So when political leaders or presidents are saying stuff, we need to remind them. We cannot just sit in an interview and listen to the president talk. Yeah, he talks about children. Oh yeah, it's so sad. But we need to remind him all these years, And I haven't really seen a plan from the Unity Party administration. It's either they were not prepared to win this election, or they didn't have a plan to lead. Because first of all, Liberia is in a very critical state because the world itself is in a critical place. There's so much financial troubles going on around the world. Even in the United States, we're going through our problems here. There's a problem with the economy here. We just saw the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse, and that port of Baltimore is not going to be operational for a long time. And that will have a ripple effect on business around the world, including Liberia. So what can we do on our own? How can we empower, our people and grow our human capital?
James
How
Yeah,
can
Akwe.
we do these
yeah,
things?
yeah. And I will definitely reject claims by Weddy when she say, I mean, what is it? And when it comes to playing, by the Unity Party, and Weddy, the Unity Party campaign on the basis of arrest, ARREST, and what that's supposed to mean, and it has to do with investing in agriculture, roads, education, and sanitation and tourism. And definitely, I want to believe this is why and Boakai definitely was able to push in on a smart, what I would call a smart budget. I mean, where um, some cuts definitely were made, and so that it can reflect a budget. I mean, the interest of the Liberian people. I mean, we're talking about cutting down the budget of the speaker, Senate Pro Tem, the executive, and other areas so that it reflects and I mean something good and to be able to impact positively the lives of the Liberian people. So I you can say that. I mean, on what basis did they campaign? I mean, they campaign on the basis of roads, of tourism and the rest of it. Recently, if you heard, and as part of their own campaign, I mean, also how to do with electricity. You and of late, you heard about a particular project, maybe a $96 million project, and the World Bank definitely will be putting in where I mean the Mount Comfort hydro plant will be extended, and I mean a solar panel farm will be built, and we're talking about increasing power to at least 280 watts. I mean, yeah, to at least something around 130, 138, because currently the Mount Coffee plant is only generating around something less than 100. So I mean, these are just initiatives. I mean, can we say that? I mean, wait, I'm coming. I mean, are we saying that that there have been, I mean, there have been some missteps? Yes, Bwaka himself has admitted to some of the missteps, some of the thing, the corner when he served as president. But that I keep saying, it becoming a cliche when he said, we have to take some hard steps and decisions to be able to move this country forward. And I think
Okay,
at
James
least
Akwe.
sincere, and I think sincere baby steps and honesty can be seen on the part of the administration to move the country forward. You see the clampdown on drugs, and so these are initiatives, these are baby steps we can be able to embrace, and we can count on to say yes that the government is trying, to restore the country, to rescue the country,
All
as
right, James
compared with
Akwe.
just
Thank you so much.
as compared to just few months ago when you had drugs all over the country and
I mean, drugs
so
been in Liberia
All right, James Akwe.
for
Thank
so
you
yeah,
so
long.
the
much.
level
We
at
have to
which
go.
the level at which I mean it was just a few months ago on a we are was just too high and huge. I mean we can speak to that, but we can see at least some sincere
They
steps being
change.
taken, to tackle and and
All right,
to clamp down on the
James
issue
Akwe.
of
Thank you
Now,
so
illegal
much.
drugs and
Time is not
substances.
in our field. We have to leave. Thank you
okay,
so
so
much, James
so
Akwe.
Nathan, so James is talking about the government investing in key sectors. How much are they investing in agriculture? How much are they investing in the healthcare sector? How much is the government investing in education? Because these are things you say you want to do stuff, but you are not matching your deeds, your words and your deeds are not matching. When will Liberia become sustainable in terms of feeding itself? When will we be able to produce rice? The rice that we eat, we don't even produce the rice that we eat. So much needs to be invested, but you're cutting money. Yeah, you don't have the money. How are you raising money? How are you using your sectors to be able to generate money? You see here the city issues you ticket just to be able to generate millions and millions of dollars. So there has to be a different approach. The government has to have a plan, or else we're gonna go 100 days without anything being done.
Yes.
We're gonna go years without anything being done, and then people are gonna get angry again, and then they're gonna go back and say, "Oh, we want a change of government." You know?
Yes, time is not in our favor. Whether Williams will be looking at a lot of issues here. Judas Kanuba joined us from Monrovia, Liberia. James Akwibos here chipping in about the issues about Liberia. We'll be looking at what's going on with the Joseph Imam Boka Access Recovery Team. We've been hearing from all sides. The CDC has been speaking as well as other Liberians have been sending in their comments here on the Access Recovery Team. But this other development here from the Musa Hassan Bediti a family about the jokes, the arrest of their son. It says that the Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency delivered the distress news that our son Fish Bediti has been apprehended on charges relating to illicit narcotics and firearm. Musa Hassan Bediti, a representative from Nema County, the issue of drugs is now killing our people. We hope that the law will be the law. So, B Mountain, we heard that they are still negotiating with workers there and employees. I mean, with citizens there in Grand Cape County. We hope that the team will resolve that peacefully. And we heard about 10 persons died at a gold mine site in Riverside County, and they are still trying to rescue more people. So the death toll now at the area there is increasing, and they are saying that more people are under the earth. So far, 10 persons. They are looking for uh, earth moving equipment to dig out those they believe are still in the hole, looking for gold and doing illicit mining. This Liberia. Wade Williams, what's your final word as we wrap down this program?
Yeah, I
We're
think
still finalizing International Women's Day.
yeah, we need to get serious about governing in Liberia. It's just the same thing over and over and over and over. We just need to do it better. We need to do it better. We need to do things the right way. If it's not done the right way, it's not done at all. So Liberia, let's take this holy weekend to just reflect. Be nicer to your neighbors. Help the poor. Help out your neighbor. If you have more than your neighbor has, share. That's what we should do this weekend.
So we get this news. GSA is about now releasing private and commercial vehicles impounded by Access Recovery Task Force. A mandate from the court. That's the news just coming in here from Yanti Togba there. He just posted that. I always follow him. He's one of the journalists who is really hungry for news, always bringing the development there. He's from OK FM, is reporting that. So the Access Recovery team.
Anything that is not done right at all is not done right. Is not. You got to do it right, or else you have issues like these.
All right, thanks so much for the time. This is all the time we have here on the firing squad every Friday on KMTV. My name is Nathan Charles Weather Williams. It is not easy to wake up early morning to get
Nah,
ready for this. So keep following, keep sharing this show. We will bring you all of the happenings just once a week. And it's Easter. Remember the last word of the cross. We still see James Akwe. What do you want to talk? We got to go, James Akwe.
Let me just run about. Yeah, okay. So I mean, let me just one down, and what I can say or get quickly is that there will be no quick fix to issues in a country, and we are
oh,
in other.
this
There will
quick
be no quick fix. Yeah, it
deal.
will not be a quick fix. We and others are seeing in damaging, destroying the country. Baka is on a red track. I mean, you can tell that by the level of appointments being made in government. We're talking about, I mean, individuals. I mean, who and are up to the task in moving the country forward. Definitely, the president told you the first 100 days you'll be able to do one or two things. He's on track of that, and let's just wait to see. Already, what we know is that you have F moving equipment and being, I mean, to other parts of the country now who are helping, that are helping when it comes to vehicle at least not being stuck in a month for the first 100 days. So yes, good things are happening in the country, and that's why a number of Liberians are excited and jubilant. Excited. They may not have money in their pocket, but at least there's some of relief in the country. Yes, trust me, there's some relief in the country. I mean, when it comes to the issue of insecurity, and the police and definitely others are trying to see how well that can also be tackled. So are there sincere steps going on? Yes, you saw the president declaring his asset. You saw the budget, definitely
We need his
reflecting. You
statements.
saw
We need
we
his
saw the
bank
budget.
statements. We need his bank statements.
Yeah, what? Yeah,
His
yeah. So what does the law says when it comes to declaring asset? What does the law say? It
and we
says
know
that
where the
yeah,
money is.
it says that you should the leader or the president declare asset at the anti-corruption commission, and the president has done that, and he told you definitely that he's leading by example, and that's what I love, leading by example. So definitely the motherland is moving forward gradually, and definitely Liberians are very hopeful that we have a system, and unlike the past when there was no system at all. So
When,
Baka
when, when,
definitely.
when, when are they appointing you?
12 years, there was no system.
James Akwe, when are they appointing you?
We look, Nathan and others, we really are not doing this for some job and the rest of it. But we're doing it for the love of our country. We're being patriotic, and in our push and the rest of it. So I mean, the likes of Jeremiah Pia and others, definitely I will tell you they are doing well. Asset recovery, but now we should not be talking about vehicle being turned over. Long time that is supposed to be done. And so people should not see it as a witch hunt. No, nobody should see this thing as a witch hunt. So yes, are there still problems in the country? Yes. But are there steps taken to tackle the situation and problem in the country? Of course, yes, I can say that.
Okay, James Akwe.
Wow, you need to be an information ministry. This is a waste of intellect.
I think they may need to get the Prince Moe. Listen to Prince Moe.
Running with this gossip, Miss Martha Morris in question is a well-known Unity Party person, a very experienced health worker with more than 50 years of leadership in health. She comes from Bone County. She's one of the leaders of the Health Workers Association in the country. President Joseph Boakai knows her very good. I don't need to fight for her.
And now they have appointed her at the health ministry, cutting down the gossip about former Nima County lawmaker, the Sewa Doma, who was also appointed for the same position. So we're seeing people appointed for the same position. And somebody said, once you are not commissioned or you're going to go for confirmation, you can be 100% sure because they can replace you in a second. Okay, thanks.
So Nathan, it has been a great show, and I promise definitely to join you next week.
Home, man.
I mean, on the show anytime you want. I don't mind it.
It has been a great show. It has been a wonderful time. Liberians across the 15 political subdivisions of the country rest assured, and that And Boakai definitely is working in their interest because Boakai knows too well, Liberians want under the rain and the sun to campaign for him, doing it with their whole heart. So definitely he too is reciprocating his gesture, working in the interest of the people. Electricity definitely, you saw him going to where? To
I'm a,
Africa. I mean, it was all about,
have a
you
great
know,
This is
yeah,
now PRS. Go to the
no, no.
information
I mean,
ministry.
no. I mean, that be a
that press
PR. We just
conference.
try to
Okay?
highlight. No, we just try to highlight some of the issues, some of the things,
Yeah, we have to
that
go, Akwe. We have to go.
that the administration definitely.
We
Yeah,
have
we
to
have to
go.
go. So we meet
Let's
next week.
Let's leave you
our
with this.
show. They
Let's
may
leave you.
ambush our show.
Let's leave you with this. Let's listen to some of Joseph Boga appointed CV. Listen to what
It was a great interview with the BBC Moses Gasu with just it was an
listen to this. Where they do some of the CV who were on the CVs.
When you are reading your CV, you say you get certificate in driving. When are you going to do your job?
I get my certificate. We have extra ability to facilitate our work. In the case where you don't have a driver, we are able to drive ourselves to execute the mandate. It's very necessary and key for function of achieving our.
He put on his CV that he got driving certificate. So Darius Dillon is asking, what I got to do with?
I mean, some jobs require that you drive, so they may not wrong.
No, but not the job he's going for as assistant minister.
They may say I can drive myself also if you're in. Let me drive.
It may not be necessary for me, but I think very necessary.
You say so you came to us for us to interview you so we can get convinced to pass you. So when you go all that thing and somebody not necessarily to convince or don't need to put it there. I just said again, I just did that for yeah.
What you got certificate intensely?
Where did on the man back for? Get certificate.
He driving.
Get certificate.
You got driver lesson. Wait.
Don't my wedding. Don't my wedding.
Oh, Liberia.
Don't my wedding. They get out.
He can drive himself. If you ain't getting driver, then I'll say what?
So I mean, Nathan. I mean,
The initial concession was awarded to them in 2001 when Taylor was here. But then it was awarded to this group called Afasio Resources, which is the parent company of B Mountain. The initial concession period was 25 years, meaning by 2026, a year plus some months from now, B Mountain concession was supposed to expire. But last year, election period, everybody on the hustle. I think that one of the reasons God slapped Clarence Massacre in the face, he didn't win that election. Because Clarence Massacre buffered Jima, one of the defeated candidates in the election, hurriedly, surreptitiously, criminally, nicodemously, 4G passage of the B Mountain concession agreement. They didn't look into, after they said, Clarence Massacre said, B Mountain has been here for the long period of time. They've now scrutinized their investment and felt that they were going to investigate to the fullest. Surprisingly, they hastily passed the B Mountain concession agreement with all proper due diligence, giving an additional 25 years. So